312 had been empty for months, yet every night at 1:15 a.m., someone laughed. I used to think night shifts were peaceful, the kind of calm that creeps into your bones. No chaos, no crowds, just you and the hum of fluorescent lights. I liked that quiet. It gave me space to think, to breathe. But one night, I found out that silence can have a voice of its own, a voice that doesn't belong in this world. This happened back in 2019. I was working janitorial at a regional hospital, midnight to morning shifts, the kind where everyone's asleep and you could go a whole hour without seeing another soul. It wasn't a glamorous job, mopping floors, restocking supply closets, cleaning out biohazard bins, but it paid the bills. Most nights I'd pop in one earbud, crank up some old school hip-hop, and zone out. The corridors were usually empty, except for the occasional nurse grabbing coffee or a doctor power walking between wings. But that night, things felt different from the second I stepped inside. The hospital's third floor was under partial renovation at the time, pediatric oncology. Half the rooms were closed off with signs taped to doors that said, "Do not enter, maintenance." My supervisor told me to start my shift up there. Said the construction crew hadn't touched it that day, so I'd have some extra space to work. I didn't question it. Third floor, east wing, easy. It was around 1:15 a.m. when I pushed my mop bucket out of the elevator and stepped into that long corridor. Everything was dim, the kind of low light they keep in quiet wards. I started mopping from one end, going slow, methodical. My shoes squeaked a little against the tiles. The silence was thick, heavier than usual, and then I heard it. Not adult laughter, not even the sarcastic chuckle of a tired nurse. This was high-pitched, light, a kid's giggle. It echoed faintly down the hallway, like it was being carried on a breeze that shouldn't exist. I paused, looking around. All the patient rooms I'd passed had their doors closed, some even with no entry signs. I checked my clipboard. Room 312. It was supposed to be empty, marked inactive. I had been for months, according to the log. But that laughter, it was coming from right behind that door. I stood there for a moment, listening, just to be sure I wasn't losing it. And then, just barely visible under the bottom edge of the door, something moved. A shadow, small, quick. It darted from one side to the other, like someone scurrying away on all fours. My first instinct was to bolt, but curiosity won. I reached for the handle, feeling the cold metal bite into my skin. The second I touched it, the laughter stopped. My heart was pounding in my throat as I pushed the door open slowly. The room inside was dark, not pitch black, just dim, like someone had turned the lights off hours ago and forgotten about it. The hospital bed sat bare and untouched in the center. No linens, no charts, no monitors, just a single chair next to it. And that chair was rocking slowly, back and forth, creaking softly with each motion. The air inside that room felt wrong, heavy. It wrapped around me like damp wool, thick and suffocating. I wanted to look away, to slam the door shut, but my eyes were glued to that damn chair. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I half expected a small face to peek out from beneath the bed, or the shadow of something to stretch along the wall behind me, but nothing happened. Nothing I could see, at least. I closed the door and practically jogged back to the elevator. Didn't even finish the hallway. I told myself it was a prank. Maybe a nurse had been in there and forgot to log it, or maybe the room wasn't as empty as the sheet said. But deep down, I knew better. Hospitals are too careful for that kind of oversight. An hour later, while refilling mop water down in the ER janitor's closet, I ran into one of the older nurses, Betty. She'd been working there for over 2 decades. Salt and pepper hair, no nonsense attitude. I mentioned what I'd seen, tried to pass it off as a joke. "You guys have a ghost kid up in 312 or something?" She didn't laugh. Instead, her expression changed, dropped. Her face turned pale, like I just mentioned a name that shouldn't be spoken. She lowered her voice and leaned in. "Room 312's been closed for a reason," she said. "There was a little boy, Joshua, 6 years old, terminal. He died in there last fall. Parents never made it in time. He died alone." I didn't know what to say. The hallway suddenly felt colder. After that, she continued, nurses started hearing things. Giggles, crying. One night, a security guard swore he saw a kid's face on the hallway camera in front of 312. We stopped assigning that room to anyone. Some places you just don't clean after dark. I never asked her about it again. I didn't need to. After that night, I refused to clean that wing. I even traded shifts with another guy just to avoid the 3rd floor entirely. Laugh all you want, call it superstition, but I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And most of all, I know what I felt. Room 312 isn't empty, and I don't think it ever will be. I had done thousands of gas station shifts, but this was the night the lights went off. If you've ever worked the overnight shift at a gas station, you know the feeling. That weird stretch between 2 and 4 a.m. where the world just stops. No traffic, no customers, just flickering overhead lights, the hum of a refrigerator, and the steady buzz of a neon open sign that feels more like a warning than an invitation. I was 22 when this happened, had just moved to a small desert town, one of those forgotten places with a single gas station, 2 bars, and a whole lot of nothing. I took the job to make ends meet. Night shift, 6 days a week, midnight to 8 a.m. The pay was terrible, but the silence? Honestly, I didn't mind. Most nights I'd kill time with my earbuds in, sketching in my notebook, barely seeing a soul until sunrise. But one night, something changed. It was a Tuesday, dead quiet. The clock had just struck 3:13 a.m. I remember that because I'd looked at it 3 times, hoping somehow an hour had passed. It hadn't. I was behind the counter, flipping through a comic book and sipping burnt coffee when the motion sensor near pump 6 lit up. At first, I didn't think anything of it. We'd get the occasional trucker passing through or some sketchy hitchhiker looking for a bathroom break. But this car? I didn't hear it pull in. Just noticed the security monitor flicker as the camera above pump 6 turned static for a few seconds before clearing up. That wasn't normal. I leaned forward. The vehicle was old. A long, beat-up black sedan with windows so dark I couldn't see a thing inside. No license plate. The engine wasn't running, just sitting there like it had been dropped into the lot by accident. The front door creaked open, like literally creaked. I swear I heard it through the walls. And then a man stepped out, tall, thin, wearing a long trench coat that brushed the ground. His movements were stiff, like every step was being measured, controlled. I couldn't make out his face. His hat was pulled low and his head was tilted down, like he was watching the pavement. I stood up a little straighter behind the counter. He didn't head toward the store at first, just walked in slow circles around his car. Once, then twice, then again, like he was inspecting it, or maybe performing some weird ritual. I don't know. My fingers hovered over the silent alarm button under the register, just in case. Then, suddenly, he stopped, turned, and stared directly into the store. I mean, not just toward it, at me. I couldn't see his eyes, but I swear I felt him looking straight into mine through 2 panes of glass and a layer of fluorescent light. my stomach dropped. He started walking. Each step was heavy, deliberate. The door chimed as he pushed it open, and this wave of cold air rushed in behind him. It was summer, 85 degrees outside, but I swear the temp dropped 10 degrees in an instant. He didn't say a word, just walked up to the counter and stood there, silent. Knight, I said, trying to sound casual. Can I help you with something? He didn't respond, just slowly raised his hand and placed an item on the counter. A single can of dog food. Now, we didn't sell dog food. That's how I knew something was off. I looked down at the label. It was rusted, faded, and the brand was nothing I recognized. There wasn't even a barcode on it. I can't ring this up, I said, my voice cracking a little. This isn't from here. Still nothing, just silence. And then he spoke. His voice was deep, raspy, like dry leaves being crushed underfoot. He's hungry. I blinked. What? He leaned in slightly. He's waiting. The air in the room felt electric, like something was about to snap. I took a cautious step back. Who's hungry? I asked. The man slowly turned his head toward the front of the store, out toward Pump 6. I followed his gaze, but the car was gone. Gone. Just vanished. No engine sounds, no movement. 1 second it was there, and the next, the lot was empty. When I looked back, the man was already walking out the door. I stood there, frozen. Every instinct in my body was telling me to lock the doors, turn off the lights, call someone, anyone. But I couldn't move. I watched him disappear into the darkness on foot, no car in sight. I even stepped out onto the lot to see where he went, but he was gone. No footprints, no tire marks, just silence. I went back inside and rewound the security footage. The camera caught me, clear as day, standing behind the register. The chime of the door, the air turning cold. But when the man entered, nothing. There was no figure on the footage, no sound. Just the door swinging open by itself, a can of dog food appearing on the counter, and me talking to nobody. I quit 2 days later. I told my boss it was health reasons, but the truth is, I haven't stepped foot in a gas station after midnight ever since. And sometimes, when I drive through small towns, I see old, black sedans parked by the edge of the road, windows dark, engine off. And I swear, they're still waiting.